ICU for like almost a week. I I have no words. I'm just glad she's not dead. That's all I have to say. So, until she heals, it'll be a while before I can do a video with her. So I'm kind of sad about that, but I'd rather her heal up, and I'm glad she's fine and like breathing and living. So it's okay. But it'll be a while before she gets on until she like is good enough to like get on a video. Alright, so today's video is going to be another whisper ramble. I know I do mostly whisper rambles, but those are what I like the most. I'm gonna talk about like my past jobs that I've worked at. And I'm gonna do this in a part 1 and a part 2 because it's going to take a long time. Yeah, so I'm kinda just gonna talk about like what I did, what I didn't like about it, what I did like about it, kind of like why I left, and just background information into the jobs. So, maybe if you decide to want to do a job like this, if you're like trying to decide what you want to do, this will help you. So my first job that I did, I'm not gonna say the name of the place because it's a local restaurant, and I'm not telling you guys where I live. I'm sorry, but so I started working there in 2016. So the reason that I decided to get a job, this was like right after my junior year ended. So like the summer before senior year, one of my friends was looking for a job and she ended up getting a job as a waitress. And I was like, I want to get a job, like I want to get a job. What the world? And then I had some other friends like that were at school that ended up getting jobs, and I was like, I want to get a job too, like what the world? I should not have gotten a job. I will say that now. If you're thinking about getting a job, don't do it. It is not worth it. Not while you're in school. I mean, you do what you want to do, but I hated it. I was like, I'm gonna try to apply this summer. So I tried to look around for in town, to see if I could find somewhere. And I live in a small town, so it's like not a lot of options. And anyway, there was this one Italian restaurant, that is like down the street from me, like it's very close. And, I wanted to apply there. And so my mom, because she's well known in the area because she works at the local bank. She knows people, and so she knows the people at the restaurant because they do their business there. So she had asked them if they were like looking for anyone, and I guess they were like full on positions. So they were like, nah, we're good. But then it was a few weeks before school was about to start for my senior year of high school. And anyway, I guess they contacted my was a skinny white lady, blonde hair. I'm just like giving the obviously the races don't really matter, but I'm just giving you the picture. She kind of looked like she smoked all the time, which I'm pretty sure she did. But I'm just giving you the picture of how they were. So I went in there and it was the assistant manager. I quotes around the word because she really wasn't, but she's just been working there for so long that she's like pals with the owner. And so she just called herself the assistant manager. But she made the schedule, so I guess she technically was. But I didn't have a real interview. I just went in. She was like, "So, are you still looking for a job?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Are you in school?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Okay, so would you rather work like, so you'd probably work at evening shift then and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah," and blah blah blah. Like she was asking like really basic questions like that didn't really have too much to do with anything. And she was just like, "Okay, you'll just basically be like waiting tables and doing the register and stuff like that." And so I kind of just got the job on the spot. Like she didn't really interview me, really. So like I said, I really wish that I hadn't taken the job while I was in school. It was just so much work. And I just didn't like it. So I was part-time, of course, because I was still in school. So, I would go to school, and after school, I would, go, I would, like, they gave me usually, I work 4 to 10, or 5 to 10, and then 4 to 10:30, or 5 to 10:30 on Fridays, because we stayed up in 30 minutes longer on Fridays. And then some Saturdays I'd work like 11 to 4 or 4 to 10:30 or stuff like that. But what I wasn't a fan of was just waking up, going to school, and then I get home from the bus on like at like 3:30, and then like I have 30 minutes or an hour to relax, and then it's off to work. And then when I get home, I don't have that much time before I need to go to bed and then wake up for school in the morning. So I didn't like that aspect of it. The customers were like, okay. Sometimes they were a little rude, like they could be, but for the most part, like they weren't that bad. Because like I said, it was a small town and everyone kind of knows everybody. And so it wasn't like they were that bad. But my main issue with this job was, like I said, the fact of me being in school while working, and also the fact, and another, I didn't get paid that much. Like, I thought it was going to pay a lot at that time, but they were very small checks. And it was so much to do. Like, I did the register, I took orders, I made the drinks, I made the salads, I took the orders on the phone, and of course you clean the tables after, you sweep after, and, clean the bathrooms. Like, it was just a lot to have to do, and the owner was kind of like a stickler. Like, he was a cool, like, I wouldn't say he's cool, but he was an okay guy. Like, he was nice, but if you did something wrong, like, he would get so upset about it. Like, I mean, we're not perfect, we're going to make mistakes, but if you made a mistake, he'd get really upset. And like one time I accidentally messed up like 2 times. Like, I can't even remember what I did, but he was like, "What's going on with you today? Like, what's going on with you?" And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is my first job. Like, chill out. Like, don't be so angry with me. Like, what the world?" So like I wasn't really a fan of that. I don't like that style of like helping people or being a work anxiety because I was just nervous. I'm a really shy person, so I don't like when people berate me, and I just don't like it. So that was one part of the job that was like irritating, and nerve-wracking. And sometimes I would have to work alone because he wasn't expecting it to be busy, so it would just be me working. And just doing all of that by myself, like owning the rest, like not owning, but like being in the restaurant, having to do all the work by myself, which is really so much. It was so much work to do. And oh yeah, we did ice cream too in the summer. Like we had to make ice cream. What are those called? Ice cream, with the banana sundae. Banana split. Bro. Stupid, I'm stupid. Anyways, I couldn't think of the name, but yeah, we had to do those too if they wanted them. I was just trying to think of some other stuff we did, but yeah. What I guess I'm trying to think of other things I didn't like, but those were like the main things. But what I did like was my coworkers. I wasn't a big fan of the assistant manager because she was kind of shady, but I did like my coworkers because most of them went to the same school that I did, so I knew them. I was familiar with them. There was like a few girls, a couple girls that actually were in the same grade as me. And then there was a few girls that were like a year younger than me, like a grade younger than me. And then it was another girl who was like, she was like my favorite person to work with. Her name's Kim. She was so funny. She was like a couple grades like older than me, so she had already graduated. But I remember seeing her in school. And she was just so funny. Like, she was so fun to work with. So yeah, I enjoyed working with them, and like they were, especially when it was super slow, like we would just talk and stuff, and it was so funny. One time, me and one of the other girls, we just sat there and played Truth or Dare because it was so boring. And I can't remember if I dared her or she dared me to just like eat a handful of salt. That was the worst thing. That was like the worst thing I've ever done. It was so disgusting. Oh my gosh, I almost died. Never do that. Never eat a handful of salt. That is worse than anything you could ever do. I didn't think it would be that bad, but it was that bad. Oh my god. So, yeah, I worked there all the way until about, like, past my graduation. I worked there, so, like, all the way till about 2018, I think. Yeah, till about 2018. Now, mind you, I did not start driving until last November. I got my driver's license. I know, I'm almost 25. Well, I got my learners when I was 20. I got my license when I was 24, like, or was I 23? Had I turned 24 yet? I think I had turned 24. I know, but we were in an accident in 2014, and that made me not want to drive, so it took me a long time, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, but yeah, so that job was good because I could just walk to my job if I wanted to, because it was so close. It was literally down the street from me. But since I was out of school now, I needed more money, and working at the restaurant was not giving me enough money to So she was the manager for the Subway, and she was like, "Hey, there's like an opening for a crew member at Dunkin' Donuts." She was like, "Would you be interested in that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to be a barista because, like, I love iced coffee. I love Starbucks. I love stuff like that. I know I'm internally a white girl. Okay, I swear. I know I am. I swear. I'm kidding, but anyways, for real, I'm ready for pumpkin spice. I'm ready for this pumpkin spice season. I'm ready for it. And also I was pretty sure I was gonna get this job because she referred me, and they really loved her as the manager over there. So I was pretty sure they were gonna be super chill with me, like working at the Dunkin'. So anyway, I applied. I went there, and the manager for Dunkin' was really chill dude. He was really cool. I didn't have any issue with him. I felt comfortable with him. He wasn't like my boss at the restaurant, thankfully. Nothing like him at all. But he was also like, it was like when stuff needs to get done, it needs to get done. But he was also chill. You get what I'm saying? So I ended up getting the job, thankfully. So I started working there at about like February or March of 2018. So how we had to do it, since I didn't drive, this is one of the issues. So how the shifts work is that since it's 24 hours, it's a 24 hours place. My cousin worked from 6 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. So I lived about less than 20 minutes away from my cousin, and my dad kind of works early anyway. So I had to wake up at 4:30 every morning to get to my cousin's house. And then me and my cousin would drive 30 minutes from her house to the travel station. When I tell you waking up at 4:30 is no joke, it's no joke. It's no joke. I hated it. Oh, it was so bad. But anyway, so how they were gonna like schedule it, the assistant manager, I kind of scheduled it so that it would match my cousin's schedule. So since my cousin came in at 6, they were like, I didn't want to work 10 hours. So it was like a normal 8-hour shift, and they had me come in at 8 and get off at 4, which I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. I can sleep in the car and wait to go in. Like when we get there, I can just sleep in the car and then go in at 8, and then when it's time for us to get off, we'll both be ready. So the first day I did that, and of course I didn't sleep because I was nervous about working. This was my first day. But I went in at 8 and I did the 8 to 4 shift, and so it was like that for a few weeks, but not long. And then my assistant manager was like, why don't we switch it so that you work 6 to 2 so that you can relieve the 6 o'clock girls, and then that way you don't have to wait for your cousin when you get here. You can just go in the morning, and it'll be easier that way. I was not really necessarily jumping over that, but I was cool with getting off at 2 o'clock. But then I thought about the fact that I'm gonna have to wait 2 hours until my cousin gets off. So I had to do that every day. So 6 to 2 was now my set schedule, and I had to wait 2 hours. And they had this little game room, but like a Pac-Man machine and some tables, and I would sit in there every day and wait for her to get off. Sometimes she would take longer than 4 o'clock, so it kind of sucked, but anyway, so that was kind of the routine, and I didn't like the routine. Also, I was part-time, and even though I was part-time, they scheduled me for like 6 days I got there, and I'm like dead tired, you know, like I'm dead tired. I don't want to be here right now. And of course, there's a bus of people just out there smoking their weed, smoking their cigarettes, coming in outside. They always be out there smoking weed every single morning I get there. It would be a bus, and there'd be people out there smoking weed and cigarettes every single time. But I hated doing the buses because it was so busy. Like, it would just be full of people, and like I said, they would do that as soon as I got there. Then around midday at around 12, no, I say around 10:30 to 12:30, we had our, possibly, actually, I say 10:30 to 1. No, it was about 10:30 to 12. We had a rush of just anyone and the bus. And then before it was time for me to go, we'd have another bus come. And that was just really irritating, like, bro. But the people on the buses would be so mean. Like, they would be so mean. Like, they would be rushing us. Like, of course, I understand you need to be back on the bus before it's time for the bus to go. Like, and you're going to be rushing, but it's the people that would wait until like 4 minutes until it's time for the bus to leave. And they would rush in and they'd be like, can you make such and such and such and such and such? Like, and hurry up, please. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Like, it's not my fault. You were out there lollygagging, smoking, talking to your friends, laughing. Like, it's not my fault that that's what you were doing. Like, why are you rushing us as if it's our fault that we're being slow? Like we're not even being slow. That was so dumb. Like, they would always do that, coming in there rushing us just because they took their sweet time. Bro, it was so irritating. So that, I didn't like that. Like, it's the customers that really ticked me off about that job. Like, and then other times people were so mean. Like, because we're a 24-hour travel station, we worked any day. Like, so Christmas Day, you're expecting, for one, I expected it to be slow because it's Christmas. Like, I figured people would be at home with their families and things like that. No, we were so busy that day. So freaking busy. And probably because we were the only store that was like open. But we had so many people come in and we were so busy that we ended up running out of things. So we ran out of large cups, like large iced cups. And one time, okay, I don't know if that stopped it. One time, this lady came in and she was like, I want a large iced so-and-so. And I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're out of large cups. But what I could do, I could get you like a medium cup and a small cup and like try to make up for it. And she was like, why do you guys not have large cups? You guys are supposed to. Are you sure you don't have large cups? Like, can you check back there to make sure? Like, girl, don't you think we would have checked back there already? Don't you think that we would have checked back there to make sure we did not have large cups? Trust me, we would have checked. We don't have any. She was so angry. I'm like, would you like me to say abracadabra and have magically have a large ice cup for you to appear? Like, what are you asking from me? Like, she was so mad at us. And then after all that, she was just like, you know what, fine, whatever, give me the medium and the small cup. And I'm like, well, that's what you should have said to begin with. Like, bro, like, what's your problem? Like, people were so mean that day. It was crazy. So yeah, the worst part of that job was the customers. But I did enjoy my coworkers. Well, some of them. The guy that made sandwiches, he was so funny. We may have been related. I don't know. We never figured that out. But he was so funny. I loved working with him. I'm trying, and then the not all of the customers were bad. gonna lie. He was handsome. I'm not gonna lie. But his name was Chad. Not gonna lie, he was handsome. But obviously, no. I feel like he was just fishing for young black girls or something. I don't know. It was weird, but um, every day he would come in and get a large iced French vanilla coffee every single day, and he would like flirt. He would try to flirt, and I mean he had Riz. I'm not gonna lie, he did have Riz, and he was not bad looking, but it was just kind of weird. You know, it was just kind of weird. Like, and he never asked me for my age. Like, I feel like you should always age check, you know, to not be a creep. But anyway, he'd be like, I like your hair like that, I like your braids, stuff like that. And I'd be like, thanks, you know, whatever. And he'd be like, stuff like, you ever been with the older guy? And I'd be like, no. And he'd be like, really, why not? I'm just like, what the world? So he'd be like, flirt. He would try to flirt or whatever. But I wasn't interested. Like, obviously. It's like, no. Dude ended up finding me on Facebook and messaging me. Please tell me why. I looked at his page and I saw that he had a girlfriend slash wife and a daughter. I had half a mind to screenshot his messages and send them to her. And I didn't even know who she was. I had half a mind to do it. I didn't, but I should have. But he always would do that. And then one time, he came in with his girlfriend slash wife and his daughter, and he couldn't pretend like he didn't even know me. I should have did it, shouldn't I? I should have. And so I like told some of my coworkers about him, and like they were like, ooh, if he comes in today, hide, I got you, hide, and I'll handle it. And I was like, okay. So I saw him coming, so I hid in the back, and then he asked about me, and then he like happened to see me at the corner of his eye, and he was like, I thought you were trying to hide from me. And I was like, no, never. Why would I do that? What? And then yeah, then it was like an older guy, like in his 60s, an older black guy. He would always come in, and like one day he like randomly started flirting with me. Like, he had been coming in for a while, and then just randomly was like, so how would you like it if me and you like took a ride out on the town together? I was like, I don't think so. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really not. I don't think so. He was like, really? Why not? I was like, I don't think so. I'm sorry. And he was kind of like, okay. Then another time he came back and he was like, have you thought more about what I said? I was like, no, I think I'm okay. Like, I'm sorry. But he didn't try to force it. Like, he stopped. Like, he didn't try to force it. Like Chad. But still, like, I'm like, why can guys my age do this? I'm just kidding. Like, why are there no guys my age doing this right now? Like, what's with you guys? It was weird. But yeah. So, as I said, I liked my job there, but it was the customers that were really crazy. And it was also a lot of work because waking up that early in the morning, and then getting home, like, I would wait till my cousin to get off at 4. We wouldn't get back till 4:30, and then I had to wait for my dad to get off work, which he wouldn't get off till about 6. So I would stay at my cousin's house, and then I'd have to wait for my dad to get there and pick me up and go home. So I wouldn't be getting home till about like 7, close to 7 o'clock, and that is just not enough time in the day for myself. And doing that like 5-6 days out of the week, it was too much. So I stayed there till about, I worked there for a little over a year, I think. I think I left yeah,